In the Delphi double murder investigation, it has been more than 2 years now since the murders and 2 weeks since the release of new clues in the case. State police said they'd wait to say more until new tips came in and give time for the families to absorb the new information. Well, that period's passed now. State Police Superintendent Doug Carter is here. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Scott.
We've been reporting on Daybreak some 3,000, probably more now, tips have come in since the release of the new information. Is any of it different? Is any of it useful?
Well, it's all useful. It's all useful, and it's all, or at least the vast majority of it's different. Mm-hmm. So I'm thrilled with what's happened since then. We still have a lot of work to do, but we're not near done.
When we first got word, and it was on a Friday that we got word that there would be this new information, some of the things struck me as unusual. You invited the public to this. You weren't taking questions at that point, again, to wait those a little bit later. And then in that briefing, it seemed like you were speaking directly to whoever did this, with the sense that that person might even be in the room. Yes. Do you think that person was in the room?
I think if he wasn't in the room, he was close by, but I'm 100% convinced he was watching.
Why?
Because of all that's happened over these last 30 months, the information that we had received, the information that we knew, and I hope to one day be able to tell that story.
You said something during the briefing that struck me, that you feel like the investigators may have talked to him. Do you think that at some point, or since then, that one of your guys has gotten in front of this person and asked him questions? And if so, then how, at that point, did it not lead to an arrest, and how could it moving forward?
Well, I think it's likely. I think it's likely. There's a lot of opinions out there. There's a lot of subjective opinions. There's a lot of analysis being done, which we're trying to encourage folks to not do those kinds of side-by-side analysis. But I really believe that over time we're going to have an idea that we were onto something early on. But remember, this isn't a 43-minute TV show. Mm. We have to understand that it's not just science, but it's also human intelligence, what people know. Somebody knows whose body that is, Scott. Somebody knows. If you take the head off of a person that you know, you'll recognize the body, whether it be your dad, your brother, your uncle, your friend, your neighbor, your coworker. That's the piece we're waiting on. And I believe that we'll get there. There is an extraordinary group of people up there that's doing this work, and I believe they're going to come to a successful resolution.
You mentioned the body. In the release of video, and this is only 2 or 3 frames of video, but it shows the movement of the person. It's been asked, and I'm sure it's been asked of you as well, why not release that sooner? You knew right away you had a picture, but a picture's different than video. Why wait that long?
Yeah, a picture's different than video, and a sketch is different than a photograph. So you're right. You're absolutely correct. We'll be able to one day tell you what we know and why we didn't release it. We don't want to show our hand. We don't want to show the complete picture of what we know versus what we think. We have to be very, very careful there. Remember, it's easy to give an opinion if you don't understand the factual basis for what we've done and why. And I don't mean that in a critical sense, but we have to protect the integrity of what we know. And, geez, we're going to stay at it.
The sketch, and to be clear, and you did clarify this after, but in case folks didn't hear it, you don't want them to look at both sketches anymore. You only want the newly released sketch, correct?
That's correct. But remember, a sketch is not a photograph.
Right.
It's something similar to a resemblance. And the likelihood of this being something between the two is probably pretty strong. But again, that's a subjective opinion based upon what I believe.
And certainly you've shown frustration at the killer, at the fact that it takes a long time sometimes to find this. The families have got to feel frustration as well. And one question that occurs to me, if they are fielding rumor that you've said you don't like, that you could head some of that off by sharing some of the grim things that a family shouldn't have to share. Why is it that we don't know how these girls died? Why is it that we don't know if, for instance, they were sexually assaulted?
Because only the killer knows that, and so do we. That's why. That's why, and you're right. It's the frustration for the family is something I can't even begin to fathom or understand. And we've tried very, very hard to stay connected with them, Scott, throughout this entire process. But remember, while people starve for information, particularly for sensationalized events like this, we can't show our hand. We just can't.
Will there be a point where things change? Because it's been 2 years, you've changed strategies now. You have to be looking down the horizon if you don't get the resolution you want. You know, you may think it may be because people want to sensationalize things. I've heard from people very close to those families who say, we're tired of answering Facebook posts about, did this happen, did that happen?
Right. I can't understand their frustration, but we can stay connected with them. And I didn't mean sensationalism in a negative sense at all, because I'm thrilled about what you've done, what you've allowed us to do today, because this is why we'll be successful. This is why we'll be successful. But we can't turn this in to a wide open schematic of what we know and why. We just can't. But I believe that one day we'll be able to.
You've been involved in investigations that have led to convictions. You've been involved to some have ended in frustrating cold cases. Do you think someone will go to trial for this case someday?
Yes.
That's your Superintendent of the United States Police, Doug Carter, talking about a very difficult tale. The Delphi double murders, Abby Williams, Libby German died just a little more than 2 years ago. We'll continue to look for more information as you can release it and ask tough questions when necessary, but we appreciate you coming in to visit with us.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
That determination. Tips are anonymous. Some might not want to talk about it because they don't want to get involved. Because they know the individual. Again, he may be a family member. Probably has family. No one will ever know. No one will ever know. There's not an agency on the planet better than helping us facilitate this than the FBI. And they're as entrenched in this as anybody.